Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sideline Eye podcast. We're having our review show today, and there's only one game to review, as it was Crossmaglen and Gael on Sunday in the opening round of the Armagh Senior Championship. Barry O'Hagan's joined me once again, and we're looking back at Crossmaglen's 2-point victory. Barry, I suppose to start, many people wouldn't have predicted the game was going to be so close and so tight at the end of the game. Gael can be happy with what they produced yesterday. They were ahead by 2 at half time. They made Cross work for a lot of what they earned. What was the perspective coming away for Gael, man?
Coming away from the game, Sean, the initial reaction from myself, many supporters, was a bit of disappointment. Certainly waking up today, a bit disappointed. I felt we probably left it behind us yesterday. Immensely proud of the fellas and the management team, and what they've done in a short space of time. Damer, Joe Lavery, and Rowan Hamill, took over 3 years ago, and they've completely changed the culture within the senior setup. So I think it shows you how far on they brought us within 3 years. We were disappointed playing Cross in the senior championship, having not come away with a victory. But looking back this time last week or 2 weeks ago, you'd have probably been content that we gave a good account of ourselves. But when we were well in the game, and I know they did push out a wee bit, the 5 or 6 points in front, but when they did kick on as expected in the third quarter, but I think we would have been closer if we had took our chances, more of our chances in the first half and a couple of frees in the second half. So, extremely proud of the fellas. And really looking forward to next season again. I think there's a lot to work with. We physically competed really well. We didn't stand off Cross. Blooded a couple of young lads. Lennox obviously in his second season had a great game. Michael McConville came on, Matthew Lennon. So we're pleased enough for progress this year. But I think the one overriding emotion for myself is disappointment. We probably could have won the game. Not saying we were overall the better team. It was 50-50. I think Cross's know-how just probably got them over the line.
I think marginally Crossmaglen were probably the better team, particularly in that third quarter. They seemed to pin Gael in on their own kickouts for a long period. It was probably that third quarter that won them the game, Barry. Maybe just into the fourth quarter, just after the water break, I think they'd stretched their lead to 5 or 6. And at that stage, I felt the game was over. I didn't see how Gael were going to get back into it. Then bang, they get a goal. Now McCann comes on and flicks the ball into the net. We'll talk about that second goal, Barry, because there's so much to talk about with it. The ball was played in on the ground, and Matthew Lennon plays a lovely wee soccer flick. Maybe he's a soccer player, I'm not sure. I know he was a county minor a couple of years ago. Soupy chips it up and throws it across, and McCann's there waiting till palm it into the net. And sort of all hell breaks loose at that stage. It was such a nervy finish then. I know Cross were still 1 point up when the goal went in, but you just got that feeling that anything could happen in the last 2 or 3 minutes then after that goal.
Yeah, Sean, a couple of things in that. One of the things that we talked about last week was after the goal when we were a point down. I think us not being able to play Division 1B football probably went against us. Then when the game was in the melting pot, maybe a minute left, there was a point in it. We had the ball twice, and we just probably didn't show the composure we needed. I think we kicked one over the sideline and gave a 50-50 ball. And I know young Niall could have got a mark on it, but that wee bit of composure, if we'd have been playing 1B again, better opposition all year, maybe in games when they're tight, we would have learned a wee bit more. So I think looking back, that went against us after we got the goal. And hopefully with a full season in 1B next season, we'll be better prepared for situations like that. The second thing stood out for me, maybe 5 years ago, 4 years ago, if we had went 5 or 6 points down, even playing intermediate, Division 3 or whatever it is, the team would have quit. So I think you have to hand it to the fellas. They came right back into the game. And, as I said earlier, Damer, Joe and Ronan have changed the culture in the dressing room big time, and the lads just never give up. So, but as for the goal itself, fantastic piece of skill from Matty Lennon, just in making his championship debut against Cross. He's only turned 18, the lad. And then, look, Stefan's piece of skill was sublime, but we expect Stefan, I've seen Stefan doing that since he was 14 or 15 years of age. You just expect Stefan to be able to do that. That's just par for the course. He's just that talented. But brilliant goal, and as I say, just that wee bit of composure then when we won the next couple of balls just let us down to bring the game to extra time. So that's probably why we're coming away from the ground disappointed.
Matty Lennon, I think that was his first touch ever in senior championship football. It obviously was his first touch ever in senior championship football, and it was a lovely wee pass to set through Supe. As you say, we expect that from Stephen Campbell, and his goal in the first half showed everything sort of that Stephen can do. It showed the work that he can do out the field, but the touch of class he has once he goes inside, because he won the ball, he got the turnover. I think it was Stephen Morris, he took the ball off. Gael worked the ball up the field, and eventually it finds its way back to Campbell, and he sticks it in the net, and suddenly Clans are 2 up at half time.
Yeah. No, first half, probably first quarter was cagey enough as expected, but we were 4-3 down, but we were well in the game, pretty even. They got a couple of scores handier than us. We seem to have to work harder for scores, but then that second quarter we really, really played well. And as I say, only for a few sloppy hand passes here, there, a couple of balls we kicked in when it was Stefan again, 3 crossmen, but we should have held on to it. It was 1-on-1, or even they had only 2 men to beat. I think we possibly should have been going up 3 or 4 points ahead at halftime. I think that would have been a fair reflection of the scores. And then even if Cross, which we knew they would, hit their purple patch, they wouldn't have went 6 up. They maybe only been 2 up. So it would have been a very different game. And I know Damard and the lads have been preaching to them about when we are on top, make best use of the possession when you have it. And I suppose again back to the 1B thing, when you're playing a higher grade of football, we learn to be more economical with the ball and tidy up the sloppy hand passes and the bad possessions that we had. You can get away with that in Division 2A and intermediate football. You can't get away in senior, particularly against Cross. So look, something to build on. But next season's a long way away too. We probably wish that there was still some sort of back door in the championship the way it was, because I think we would grow greatly from that game and gain a lot of confidence from it.
I think Crossmaglen, Barry, we're talking about that third quarter and even into the fourth quarter, they had such a strong bench to bring in. Like you had Oisin O'Neill, Callum Cummins, and Tony Kiernan all come on. There's not many teams in Armagh can match that bench. And when you have them boys coming on to add to what Rian O'Neill and Cian McConville were already doing, you have to pay massive compliments for Clondigale for being in it at the end.
Yeah, and I think Damard used a lot of his bench as well. He used young Matty and Michael, who are very inexperienced at that level. He brought he brought Ronan Austin on. Ronan has been struggling with injuries this year. Actually played really well, was probably having one of his better seasons in recent years. And he hurt his hamstring a lot of weeks ago, so probably wasn't able to contribute the way he'd like. But the way Ronan was playing early in the season, if we had him able to bring him on or start him, he would have certainly added to us, and I don't know whether Ronan's going to bow out or not. But what a great servant to Gael. One of our, we haven't had many midfielders over the years, over the decades, and Ronan, he was just really unfortunate. He came in at the tail end of a good team, and he's probably retiring. I'm not retiring him online, but he's probably close to retiring. On the verge of Gael having another good team. But what a servant for Gael. And if we'd have had Ronan at his peak playing around the middle of the field yesterday, we'd probably got over the line as well. So just unfortunate they seem to have a better bench. We have young lads in the bench just not ready. With Aaron McCrainer only back from America, so Damard didn't have a wild lot of options, game changers as such. Crossmaglen had 3 county footballers to bring on, which makes a huge difference.
And I suppose you're talking about the youth for Gael, and we've spoke about that before, about the underage structures and the county minors that they've had in recent years. I want to talk about Lennox Kamara and Michael Tolan. I thought they were a joy to watch by, particularly in the first half. They caused Crossmaglen serious issues. There was at one time, I think it was Stephen Campbell was hitting a free kick, and I just watched inside from Michael Tolan, and he made 3 runs before making his run, and he got out in front and won the ball and put it over the bar. And Lennox is a college all-star at full back. He played in the forwards yesterday. I thought he was a defender. He played in the forwards, and they claimed 2 marks. And them two really, they were causing trouble inside for Crossmaglen whenever Soupy come out.
Yeah, young Michael Toland is I've seen plenty of fast players in my life, and he's up there at the top of the list. Michael, he's a young brother, actually was in the county minors this year, who's another flying machine, and he has another brother who's Ulster Elite boxing champion, and he's as fast with his fists as those boys are with his feet. But young Michael he didn't set the world on fire at underage, but he's a real example to somebody working hard at your game. Diarmuid would tell me, great young fella, he does everything that's asked of him, be it training, games. Sometimes it's not going so well. There's no tantrums out of him if he's taken off. He's back down, the hardest trainer there. And he's somebody I've watched this last 3 or 4 years, and he's just worked so much on his game. He was always very fast, very fit. He's very much into his training, and but he has got very, very much more smart as a footballer, makes very intelligent runs, and I just think he's going to get better and better. He's actually a nephew of Stephen Campbell, so there's football in the family as well, and John Campbell, who I played with, who was another super footballer. So he's a bit of pedigree there, and willing to learn, willing to do whatever he has to the team. And he had a great game yesterday, and I think the more he gets experience at senior level, he'll be a very, very good asset for us. Lennox probably run out of steam a bit in the second half. He's young. I don't think he turns 19 the next week or something. So, he's very young, but a Rolls Royce of a footballer. Could never understand people playing him full back. He's a midfielder or half forward. He'll end up as a midfielder, but just takes everything in his stride. He's so laid back. He's so athletic. Great hands. 6'3", can run, can kick points. He's everything. The world's his oyster. In terms of Gaelic football ability, and I've no doubt county management would have been looking at him yesterday and looking at potential. Somebody that's only about to turn 19, he has all the attributes to come in and be a great player for Armagh in the future. And we hope that's the case, because it'll help us, Clan Gael. Just in another year's time, I would say senior football under his belt, he'd be hard to handle around the middle of the field. He's still a child essentially, but in another year or two, there'll not be many people throwing him off the ball.
And putting him inside like that, Barry, was that Diarmuid maybe, did he spot a weakness in the Crossmaglen full back line? Because Farley was number 3, and I thought he was coming in to sort of solve this issue that Crossmaglen seemed to have. We've seen it in the county final last year, that you can get goals against them. They don't like to play a sweeper, and they don't have much height in that full back line. I thought Farley was going to be the answer to that, but he came out and played midfield. And once Kamara went inside, there was chances for Kamara. They were kicking, Clan Gael was targeting that big long ball into the square sometimes. Is that a weakness in Crossmaglen's game, and maybe something they're going to try to develop over the next few weeks?
Well, I suppose we got the goal from, wasn't over a high ball. We got a couple of marks. I do think if you can catch cross in the break, as was what happened yesterday, when they've time to reset and get men back, it is harder. You seen in the second half when they were in front of us and we tried to get the ball into Stefan, they had men around him and we kicked a few in high. We did win 1 or 2 marks, but it didn't seem to be an issue for them. But I think when Crossmaglen are overturned on the other side of the field, which we did well a couple of times in the first half, and then moved the ball quickly, I do think when they're left in there 2-on-2, there is a bit of a vulnerability, but no doubt they'll have done their homework on that and they'll improve for the next game and the next game after that, but certainly teams will try and exploit them on the break and try and get good early high ball into them. Young Lennox does that even when he plays underage. Our under-19 manager, Gael would do that when he plays midfield for us. We were playing Clanern the other week. He was dominating around the middle, but we threw him in the full forward and we got a couple of goals off him. So that's part of his game, whether it's to get a wee breather or cause, problems for the opposition. So I've no doubt Diarmuid was working on it during the week, but particularly on the break, when Cross don't have as many men back, they probably are vulnerable, but most teams would be if you get good quality ball in.
And Barry, Cross give you them one-on-ones inside, don't they? I know early on it looked like Paul Hughes was going to be the set sweeper. Aaron Kiernan spent time as an extra man back there, but the majority of the time, once Clan Gael did turn that ball over, there was so many opportunities for one-on-ones or 2-on-2s inside.
There was, and that's probably the one disappointing thing from the game from us. When we did get up the pitch playing good football, there was a stray hand pass or a bad kick pass or somebody not coming off the shoulder quick enough. that just maybe we left 3 or 4 points behind us. If we had been a wee bit slicker when we had 2-on-2s and 3-on-3s, we could have got more scores. And particularly in that first half and a couple of frees, as I said, in the second half, we probably left 5 or 6 points behind us. So that's where the disappointment's coming from today. But yeah, certainly, Cross are quite happy to go man on man at the back when there's a turnover, and we were happy. As I say, we have good big physical men, with speedy men like Michael inside that can win their own ball as well. So that was one of the big pleasing things for us as a team yesterday.
And defensively, I'm sure Dermot Marsden's coming away happy too. Or 19 points. That's what Crossmaglen tend to do. They won't panic and start aiming for goals. They'll keep chipping away at the scoreboard and putting over the points. But not to concede a goal against Crossmaglen is a big thing for Gael. I'm sure Sean Farn, he was going to be the +1, and they did get men back at times. Gael, there was often maybe 13 men back there protecting the goals. And Crossmaglen, I suppose it was a fairly young and inexperienced forward line. You had young Rowan Fitzpatrick, Patsy Finnegan, and Owen Kieran all starting in that forward line. But that's a positive coming out for Gael as well, that they didn't concede any goals.
Yeah, we'd have took that before the game. If you would have said we'd have kept them scoreless for 3-pointers, I think 19 points is great kicking. Crossmaglen obviously happy to kick it over the bar when the goal's not on. But I do think maybe 2, 3, possibly 4 points of their points came from us being turned over around the middle third or when we were on the attack. So that Dermot, probably looking back, I know you're always going to get turned over and give scores away. If we'd even half that, the 2 to 3 points, again, we'd probably been in front when the referee blew his whistle at the end. So keeping the goals out was good. And I'd say if we'd have kept them to 16 points, Dermot would have been happy. But a couple of those scores that they got in the breakaway actually came from our mistakes. So that's probably one of the disappointing things. But again, it's inexperience at that level of physicality, at playing at that senior level again, which we haven't done in many years. So that's all part of the learning curve. We're a young enough team. Outside of Sean Michael, Niall Henderson, Stefan's only 30. We're all young men under 25 years of age. So, there's plenty of build on going into next season.
Gael, they're going to be one for the future, and I think we've been eyeing them up now the last season or two. We know that this great Gael team could be returning now at senior level over the next few years. But they're going for this year, Barry, and that's them out, no back door. Of course, it's a knockout format this year. Crossmaglen go on to play Madden now in 2 weeks' time, and just looking forward to the opening rounds of the senior championship. It's an open championship this year. It's not like it used to be where it was just Crossmaglen against the rest. Sort of, there's maybe 5 or 6 teams that are eyeing themselves up, and when they witnessed what Gael done yesterday, they could possibly think to themselves, they could have a go at Cross and Moray are probably the main 2 in the county at the minute. Based on recent championship successes, and the Harps are up there. Ballymacnab have been to 2 county finals recently. You have Madden coming up now, winning the Division 1B. There's going to be a couple of teams coming through here that feel that they can have a proper crack at this.
It's probably the most open championship I can remember since before we won it. When we won it in '93, was probably fairly open. Nobody expected us to win it. We won it with 2 or 3 minors in our team, Dermot, Kevin O'Hagan, people like that. '94, we were probably favourites. We won it again, but it was still fairly open then. Mullabon beat us in '95. Mullabon beat Cross. It was between us, Mullabon and Cross. And that, for a couple of years, it was us, Mullabon and Cross. And then it was Drummond and Cross. And then Pearse Oak were floating about and ourselves. But it was always only 2 to 3 teams most. And Crossmaglen won it most years, it's probably the most open I can remember in the guts of nearly 30 years. And I do think, look, Crossmaglen will still take beating. There'll be no team will learn as much, and they will obviously get better. They'll probably be really thankful for a game in the preliminary round. They struggled a bit in the league, obviously a lot of injuries and all of the rest. So they'll be delighted with getting through that game yesterday. They'll get better, and the team that beats them, if anybody beats them, will win the title. Macquarie, obviously, up and down league, but they're a good championship team, very difficult to put back to back. The Harps are flying in the league. I have a wee sneaking feeling they'll have a good kick in them. Drummond won the league, and so you can't discount them. They're a young team. And then you've Ballymacnab probably sitting looking, we've been the second best team behind Cross in recent years, even including Macri, and maybe they'll have another kick in them, you know. So the fact that it's knockout, what Tyrone have done this year, sure, nobody would have thought in June or July Tyrone were going to win the All Ireland. So you'd be amazed in knockout football. You get on a wee run, the confidence, other team gets injury. So there really are 5 or 6 teams. Clonerne, you know, Clonerne, very unlucky to beat Mahri Nick last year, going well in Division 1B. Tiernan Kelly, Connor Turbot, you know, will take watching any day of the week. They've had great underage success for the last decade. Players in county minor panels coming through, you know. So Clonerne will be worth a watching as well. They just maybe don't have the pedigree and the tradition, and that's the one thing that's counted against them. But in recent years, but Kelly and Turbot, those boys don't seem to care about that. You know, they think they're as good as anybody else in the county, which they are. So they'll probably be sitting at this looking going, if Gael can get Crossmaglen to 2 points, what would we do? You know, they probably think they're a few years ahead in their development. I would have probably thought that up until yesterday, but I've changed my mind. I think we're probably 18 months further ahead than what we were. So there's about 6 teams there, I would say, you know, could win it. But I would agree with you. I would still have Cross and Mahri up there as favourites, and maybe the Harps maybe pretty close to them.
Yeah, I think they're the big ones. And of course, it's Harps and Mahri in the first round. So one of the big 3 are going to be gone straight away. Barry, thanks very much for coming on. And we look forward to previewing the intermediate championship that's coming up this weekend, along with the junior championship. They kick off on Friday evening, and then the senior championship will take place the following week. Also, make sure to check out this week that our team of the week is back, and we have people from the Gael and Cross game and the ladies action, of course, Armagh Camogues as well, all involved in that. So make sure to keep an eye on it and vote for your player of the week. Barry, once again, thanks very much for coming on, and look forward to talking to you in the coming weeks again.
Not a bother, Sean. Thanks.